President Tinubu had a media chat, and he said that there is a friend of his that used to have five Rolls Royce of different models, and he now drives a Honda. And a lot of people have been reacting positively, negatively to it. And he said that when he saw the friend, he said, "What happened?" And the guy said, "Look at what you've done to me." He said, "No, it's not what I've done to you. It's about free market, allowing things to work on their own, no subsidy." That's what the president is saying. Now, let's take a look at a country that we're in a worse situation where we're, and they also had election in 2023 after our own election. And Tinubu was sworn in on 29th of May 2023. And this particular person was actually sworn in, I think, in November 2023. And a country that was actually worse than our own. And now they are far, far, far better after just 1 year in office. They're just 1 year and 1 month in office. It's barely just a year the man has been in office. And that is Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. Argentina was almost going bankrupt before he took over in November, and he did amazing work. So when Tinubu talks about all this kind of thing, and if you watch the interview he granted to Lex Friedman, you know that not a prophet of doom, but we're not expecting anything from Tinubu. It's almost done deal. Because almost everything, we have similar situation. And there are very similar scenarios, but he took a different approach to it.
If we had instantly opened up, you see, I say we are liberal libertarians, we are not liberal fools. That's what some anarchist liberals suggested, meaning that we basically open everything on the first day. So in that context, of course, if we had done that, we would have encountered hyperinflation. Therefore, that would have led to the number of poor people being around 95%.
For example, when he took over and they were to remove subsidies also, he made mention of something in the video that he said some of his advisors wanted it to go the same day. Like what we did. Inauguration day, the president said subsidy is gone. And inflation started from that day, and we've not been able to tame it. We have 33% inflation, monthly inflation. I think last was an average of 34 last month. So is then Argentina was having more than that, but Argentina has, guess how many inflation Argentina have now? It's like 2%. So when you add the let's say international inflation that is going on everywhere, you see that Argentina is not even having an inflation anymore. But watch where Nigeria is. Our case is getting worse. Tinubu hasn't done anything. And he said when his advisors asked him to remove it, he said if they had removed everything once the way we did it, without actually a good plan, 50% of Argentines were into poverty. He said it would have risen to like 90%. And maybe he would have even lost out in government, or they would have chased him out. And there are a lot of things he said that place that way. You remember, that's the problem we had. We were doing two things at the same time. We removed the fixed exchange rate we were doing and also removed subsidy. And then, our Naira was destroyed. And who knows when the stuff will recover. Now, we move down to something very important he also said. He also talked about Argentina eliminating import tariff by December.
So if you ask me, it's clear that we have not only made the biggest fiscal adjustment in the history of humanity, because we made a fiscal adjustment of 15 points of the GDP, but also most of that went back to the people as less seigniorage, as a lower inflation rate. It's true that we temporarily raised the country tax, but we lowered it in September. And now in December, we're going to eliminate it. Today, for example, we also announced that in December, we are eliminating import taxes. In fact, in that regard, What you have is that we return to the people 13 and a half points of GDP because the real tax burden is the size of the state.
Meanwhile, what we are doing here is our own is a full-blown revenue generating agency for the federal government. And although Javier Miller is a crazy intellectual and also a professor of economics, former professor of economics, but even at that, he has a very common sense approach to a lot of the issues. And the results are there to everybody to see. But look at where we are. So he said it will be eliminated, and he explained that when you remove the import tariff, you are actually directly giving the money back to the people, and it's more effective than the government collecting the money. So I don't know what's going to happen next year, but from the way the president is sounding, that everything is normal, everything he did well by where we are. You see, when somebody says this kind of thing, if Tinubu is saying he did well, that somebody that was having 5 Rolls Royce now he's not using Honda because maybe probably he cannot fuel it. But from Mercedes experience using a Cadillac, buy new jets, and then you are citizen, a private citizen who actually may be doing legitimate business or using Rolls Royce and is no more able to use Rolls Royce. If someone uses 5 Rolls Royce and he can afford it, there's no problem. Yeah, a country that we have over 70% of the population into poverty, and then the petrol sells close to like 1,000 per liter. How can those people survive in this kind of economy? And then he shows you how detached the president is from the masses, from the reality of what, because the way he talks, you just feel bad for this country because there is no hope. If this direction they are going to now, you think things will come out of it. There's no way out of it because this is 2025 already. 2026 they start campaigning. This guy barely has like 1 year and to do whatever he wants to do. He has spent close to 40% of his time in the office, in the first office. And the result we are seeing possibly was than the former one.